Thank you, Governor.
Senator Smith.
Mr. Chairman, I yield my time to the senator from Oklahoma, Senator Inhofe.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I guess we're operating on the single question rule here.
If Senator Smith has yielded his time to you, you may have 2 questions, Senator.
Well, I might need more than that, Mr. Chairman, because this governor has directly impugned my character, my integrity, and he is probably one of the best politicians I've ever witnessed, because I'm sure that plays very well back home, and your numbers are going to go up as a result of it. So let's just clarify this to be sure that I'm correct. When you said parties to this hearing are likewise aware of the harsh rhetoric that has been issued forth from certain quarters of this committee, no, Senator, I am concerned I would never escalate a public policy dispute by threatening to promote the deactivation of a military base located in a rival senator's state. Last month, though, the Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Puerto Rico was the target of precisely that kind of a threat. Next sentence, nor is it a secret that this proceeding is awash in a sea of partisan overtones. Now, I don't want a long answer. I just want a yes or no. You're referring to me, aren't you?
Absolutely. I'm glad you picked it up.
All right. And I'm sure that plays very, very well. And I am hoping that with all of the media that is here, I suspect that every media, printed or electronic, from Puerto Rico is here, and they're all applauding you and the statements that you have made. You have accused me of being of the, let's see, nor is a secret the proceeding awash with a sea of partisan overtones. Partisan overtones. I dare say that in my state of Oklahoma, not very many of them could tell me where Vieques is, but they do know that there is a range there that we have to have for our readiness situation in the United States in the military. It is absolutely necessary. And I am so proud of the military active officers today, the flag officers on up and down, who have all said without one exception that we have to have that range in order to save American lives. That's the only place when you deploy to the Mediterranean or the Persian Gulf that they can get that training. We could not have done what we did in Kosovo if it had not been for that. Now, if I am so awash with politics and I still can't figure out what that could possibly be, what about you, Governor? What about you? You're having a heyday here, and your numbers are going to skyrocket because you came here and you intimidated and you threatened members of this body, and you had a smile on your face, and you're enjoying every minute of it. But it is a true fact, and I have the documentation, so I wouldn't want you to deny it, that in August, Vice President Al Gore was allowing him, and I'm quoting now, which is you, the governor, to convey that Vice President Gore supports the closing of the range. Again, in this morning's hotline, we have that repeated again just in today's newspapers. So here you have Vice President Gore playing with you in concert to try to do this, and currently you are the Vice President for Gore for President fundraising chairman for Puerto Rico. Now, how could you get more political and partisan than that?
I am not running for office. Maybe you didn't know that, Senator. I suspect you probably are.
What do you say?
I am not running for office. That's what I'm saying. So this over-preoccupation with numbers, which you have mentioned several times, probably reflects your own projection. I have, yes, asked the Vice President, as I have asked the President, and I have asked members of both parties, including Senator Murkowski, who has a bill before the Senate supporting our position, including Congressman Burton, who also supported what Puerto Rico is bringing here to the table. So yes, this is an issue that I believe in passionately. It has nothing to do with politics from our perspective, and you fail to see, even at this point,
Mr.
you fail
Chairman,
to see
I think we
the
can
basic
control time
issue
in
here,
terms of
which is human
not
rights.
answering my question.
Well, Senator, I want to
simply
accommodate the Senator from Oklahoma as best I can.
Let me just say, Governor.
If you will just Give that one question
You
precisely.
had, I'm going to give you the question in just a minute, but you had made the statement that I was the one who was being partisan when this written statement that you prepared and we read yesterday, long before I made any statements, that you're the one who made that statement. Now, I have two questions using one of Senator Smith's and one of my own. You used the term that these are disadvantaged, disenfranchised citizens.
Yes.
Do you consider the citizens of Stafford County, Virginia, and the citizens of Lawton, Oklahoma, to also be equally disenfranchised citizens?
No, Senator, they have their full voting rights.
And
in
those
a
citizens
democracy.
are much closer. You heard what I said. Statement is, I'm very proud when I go down there. I said, doesn't it bother you, all the noise and everything within a mile of 100,000 citizens? You know what they say, Mr. Chairman? They say that's the sound of freedom. My question to you is, you're the chief law enforcement officer, along with being the chief executive officer. I assume that goes with your job description. In an article that was the 28th of September, 1999, in the New York Daily, you were quoted as saying, and I have all the documentation here, that you will oppose any moves against the protesters. As chief executive officer of your Commonwealth, as chief law enforcement officer of your Commonwealth, the fact that we have civil disobedience, do you encourage that civil disobedience? And why are you not arresting these individuals who are trespassing and clearly breaking the law?
If you look at my statements, Senator, you will see that I have never encouraged civil disobedience. Never. You cannot.
Will you stand? Will you get on the record today that you oppose the civil disobedience that's taking place with that
What I'm giving you and the armed forces is wise advice. If you want to have a situation that will belittle the accidental bombing of the Chinese embassy, non-U.S. citizens, by the voluntary bombing of U.S. citizens in Vieques, if you're willing to take that route, then you're advised well ahead of time. What I'm saying,
that's not the
you
question
have to be
I asked,
wise
Mr.
in
Chairman.
this era. It is not our state responsibility. It is a federal responsibility if you want to remove people from there. But I'm telling you...
You oppose, as governor of the state, the civil disobedience and the breaking of the law and the trespassing on Vieques. Do you oppose that, or do you support it? Yes or no?
I have never endorsed civil disobedience in any of my statements. I have said that we will use all lawful methods, law and order, to obtain what we feel are the basic human rights of our fellow citizens.
Are they trespassing lawfully?
They're not trespassing lawfully.
Well, what steps have you taken then to enforce the law? That's the senator's question.
It's a federal law. It's a federal government that has to act if it wants to act. Sometimes it is not wise to act. And all I'm saying is I'm giving you what I think is good advice. Don't push it.
Let me give also some good advice, since he's giving me advice, Mr. Chairman.
That's a threat of violence.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, since that's a threat of violence against me, I must respond.
I understand that. I understand that. But this colloquy, I think, has run its full course. If you feel absolutely necessary to make a statement, please do so.
I will, but not relating to that.
Because he's not going to answer the question.
He didn't answer my question, I know that. Since he is giving me advice, let me give you advice, Governor. You have people down there, because I've seen them walking around playing with live ordinances that have been there for some 57 years, some of them. Someone's going to die doing that. Very likely that could happen. And my advice to you is to say something discouraging to this type of trespassing, or that blood will be on your hands.
Now,
that's my advice.
Somebody has already died, Mr. Senator.
We understand.
One
that.
has
If
died.
the bombings continue,
Has nothing to do with the ordinance.
Thank you
on your conscience.
very much. We opened this hearing